Welcome to Clutch Time Updates. NBA 2025 Playoffs Overview. Playoffs do conferences main hade hain. Eastern Conference. Western Conference. Eastern Conference Bracket. 1 Cleveland Cavaliers vs. winner of Atlanta Hawks vs. Miami Heat. 2 Boston Celtics vs. 7 Orlando Magic. 3 New York Knicks vs. 6 Detroit Pistons. 4 Indiana Pacers vs. 5 Milwaukee Bucks. Western Conference Bracket. 1 Oklahoma City Thunder vs. winner of Memphis Grizzlies vs. Dallas Mavericks. 2 Houston Rockets vs. 7 Golden State Warriors. 3 LA Lakers vs. 6 Minnesota Timberwolves. 4 Denver Nuggets vs. 5 LA Clippers. NBA 2025 Playoffs Points Format. April 19th to May 1st. April 19th Play-in Games. Atlanta Hawks vs. Miami Heat Eastern Conference, 8th seed. Memphis Grizzlies vs. Dallas Mavericks Western Conference, 8th seed. April 20th First Round Game 1 Bagans. Pacers vs. Bucks, Game 1 East. Nuggets vs. Clippers, Game 1 West. Knicks vs. Pistons, Game 1 East. Lakers vs. Timberwolves, Game 1 West. April 21st. Thunder vs. Grizzlies, Mavs winner, Game 1 West. Celtics vs. Magic, Game 1 East. Cavaliers vs. Hawks, Heat winner, Game 1 East. Rockets vs. Warriors, Game 1 West. April 22nd. Knicks vs. Pistons, Game to East. Nuggets vs. Clippers, Game to West. April 23rd. Pacers vs. Bucks, Game to East. Thunder vs. Grizzlies, Mavs winner, Game to West. Lakers vs. Timberwolves, Game to West. April 24th. Celtics vs. Magic, Game to East. Cavaliers vs. Hawks, Heat winner, Game to East. Rockets vs. Warriors, Game to West. April 25th. Pistons vs. Knicks, Game 3 East. Thunder vs. Grizzlies, Mavs winner, Game 3 West. Clippers vs. Nuggets, Game 3 West. April 26th. Magic vs. Celtics, Game 3 East. Bucks vs. Pacers, Game 3 East. Timberwolves vs. Lakers, Game 3 West. April 27th. Cavaliers vs. Hawks, Heat winner, Game 3 East. Thunder vs. Grizzlies, Mavs winner, Game 4 West. Clippers vs. Nuggets, Game 4 West. Warriors vs. Rockets, Game 3 West. April 28th. Pistons vs. Knicks, Game 4 East. Timberwolves vs. Lakers, Game 4 West. Magic vs. Celtics, Game 4 East. Bucks vs. Pacers, Game 4 East. April 29th. Warriors vs. Rockets, Game 4 West. Thunder vs. 8th seed, Game 5 West. April 30th. Nuggets vs. Clippers, Game 5 West. Pacers vs. Bucks, Game 5 East. Knicks vs. Pistons, Game 5 East. Celtics vs. Magic, Game 5 East. May 1st. Lakers vs. Timberwolves, Game 5 West. Rockets vs. Warriors, Game 5 West. Cavaliers vs. 8th seed, Game 5 East. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe my channel.